Lindsay. If you didn't know, I farm in central Nebraska and 100% of my acres are irrigated. That means that they have some sort of water source, like a well, and then some way to get that water out onto the cropland. Most of our acres are irrigated with pivots, and one pivot span is what you're seeing behind me here. It looks a little funky because it's on a trailer right now. The well pumps water through a pivot when it's all connected and waters the field. But these spans are no longer in use, so we're just going to be using these as like spare parts. They're off an old pivot. They got all rusted out. It's been here since the early 70s, and so we're moving it. So today we're going to be moving these spans down the road. For us, this isn't something that we do very often. There are some farmers that I know that move pivots really often. They have like a rotation of pivots that they move through in other fields, or even mid-season can move pivots. But for us, usually we put a pivot in a spot and it stays there for many, many years. For example, this was, I believe, the first pivot that was put up on this farm in the early 70s, and we're just now moving it. So these things can last you a long time. Yeah, we'll be moving these things down the road. Kind of a fun operation, so come along with us. All those spans that we were picking up and moving, this is the center point, and we're going to put that on a trailer and haul it to its resting place. Going out to hook up some more pivot spans to trailers, and today is particularly exciting because instead of hauling the spans, 1 mile, we're going to be taking them down the road like 5 or 6 miles. So big pivot moving crew operation day today. They say farmers are jacks of all trades, not because they want to, but because they have to be. So you could probably hire a crew to do this, but it's a lot cheaper for us to do it ourselves. And I think it's kind of fun to get to do so many different jobs. There's so much variety being a farmer. If you missed the last video that had the whole explanation in it, now's your chance to go back and watch that and see what we were doing before this. But to catch you up, Grant and I are transporting an old junky pivot. That's what we did last video, all the spans that were rusted out. When I say pivot span, this is what I mean. This right here, one section of a pivot. So a lot of them were rusted out, and so we moved those into an organized pile out of this field. And there were still some good parts on them. The pipe was just rusted out, and so we put them in a pile to use as a parts pile. But there are 3 good spans, and those are going in a different pile. And so we're hooking those up on a trailer, and I'll show you what that looks like. I'm in the tractor. And on the back of the tractor, there's a homemade crane that Grant's grandpa put together. And I'll show you what we use the crane for. If you're new to the channel or just didn't know, Grant is my husband and we farm together. So he has the Ranger, and hooked up to the back of the Ranger is this homemade pivot span moving cart. That's the only thing it was designed for. So essentially he hooks a chain up and then I lift the crane up, which lifts the chain up. It's going to lift the entire span up. Ready? Just like that. Now I'm going to get out of the cab and help him move that cart under the pivot span, and then I will set the crane down.
A little bit.
Yep, ready. Whoa, okay. Back in the cab, and I use this first hydraulic here to set the span down. Grant makes any adjustments as necessary. Then he crawls back up, undoes that chain, and then we hook on another chain to lift the tongue of the cart up so that we can hook a chain from the top of there to the cart, and then straps get put around the span. There's a multi-step process here, guys. Then myself and the crane will go to the end of the span so that we can lift the end of the span up and drive this whole rig down the road.
fit to this bridge. Pretty close. It is gonna be tight. I think we're gonna clear. Just fine. We made it. I hitched a ride back to the Ranger. We pretty much made a trailer out of this pivot. Got the Ranger there blocking traffic. We'll sail right on through.
This isn't the final resting spot for these, but it'll do for now. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!